I recently put out a video explaining why I think the gambling aspects of Kakegurui fail, especially in comparison to the titan of the niche gambling subgenre, Kaiji. And the responses I've gotten have been mixed, to say the least. A lot of people seem to agree with me and appreciate that I've piggybacked off a currently popular show to give attention to a great, lesser-known, older show that handles the same subject matter better, but that video's also gotten some blowback from a vocal minority, about 20% of viewers judging by the dislike ratio, that I'd like to address. The video has gotten a lot of comments from people who disagree with it, but most of those fall into the same three categories, so I'll mostly be addressing those here. The first type of comment on this video is something to the effect of Kakegurui might not do gambling well, but it doesn't have to be entertaining. Which, yeah, I agree with you. I said almost those exact words in the video. As a fucked up school comedy, it is immensely entertaining, and I can totally see why it's the most popular show of the current season. Kakegurui is a fun time, but only if you view it as a messed up school hierarchy story rather than a story about gambling. Like Kill la Kill, Prison School, Utena, Shokugeki no Soma, I could go on for a while with these. Kakegurui's fun factor lies in setting up a student council full of interesting, quirky villains and having the protagonist mow them down one by one. The gambling is just a means to that end, a way of combating the villain of the week that sets the series apart from the duels of Kill la Kill or Shokugeki no Soma's titular cook-offs. And I mean, both of those examples actually do their action bits well, but even though the gambling aspects of Kakegurui are poorly executed, the characters are still fun and engaging enough to carry it. Which brings me to the second type of comment, which is something to the effect of, it's dumb to compare Kakegurui to Kaiji because it's not a gambling anime, it's a character study. There are two things wrong with that statement. Firstly, it's pretty clear that anybody who says it hasn't seen Kaiji, because if they had, they'd know that Kaiji is one of the most intricate and nuanced character studies in the anime market. There are clear superficial points of comparison, both shows start with elaborate card-based rock, paper, scissors, for instance, but there are much more substantial ones as well. They're both about the psychology of their main character more than anything else. Which brings us to the second problem. Kakegurui is much worse as a character study than Kaiji is. Kaiji is a piece of human garbage, and the series is as much about the small, often painful steps he has to take to pull himself out of that state as it is about the actual gambling. It is an exploration of what true despair and desperation does to a person, of what it takes for a person to stop wallowing in their own misery and take charge of their life, and how that transformation can threaten to ruin a person in different ways. The reason that the series puts its hero through the ringer like it does is not for the sake of torture porn, as some less thoughtful viewers have put it, but rather because pushing characters to extremes is a good way of drawing out the most extreme parts of their nature. Each gamble is a crucible that tests both Kaiji and his opponents and forces them to show us who they really are if they want to emerge victorious. Kakegurui pretends like it's going to hit these extremes, but it fails because the danger is never real, and the fake danger is rarely even close to extreme enough to warrant the kind of transformations that Kaiji and the people around him undergo when their very existence is on the line. There are only really 3 points, arguably, where the threats in Kakegurui are tangible enough to really challenge characters in this way. But what's revealed is just too simple. The Russian roulette game that just wrapped up in the anime only really shows us how far Yumeko is willing to go when it comes to taking risks, and how much she hates it when people twist that enjoyment to their own ends and remove that risk factor. The string cutting minigame that recently ended in the manga basically just exists to reaffirm that point, while showing us that the first member of the new group of villains is just a little punk bitch motherfucker. The third example is probably going to be the ending of the anime, so I won't spoil it here, but I will say that while this particular overcomplicated gamble does push one character to the point where they show their resolve in giving up something truly important to them, what happens next is one of the most bullshit Deus Ex Machina moments in anime history and totally removes the impact. Literally. But the fact that most of these characters are never properly tested is a minor problem compared to the much more fundamental issue that Kakegurui's bad gambling causes. The whole point of a character study story is to dig into the meat of a character's personality and allow the audience to understand how they think. The most fundamental aspect of Yumeko Jabami's personality is that she loves taking risks. She will put literally anything on the line for the sake of a good gamble, sometimes just to heighten the the experience. Unlike many other gambling protagonists, even when she can cheat to assure her own victory, she instead cheats in a way that ensures that rigged games operate on pure chance. For her, it doesn't actually matter if she wins, it just matters that everyone involved had something huge on the line and had an equal chance of winning and thus experienced the thrill of gambling equally. Which is fine. This is a different kind of gambling protagonist from desperate losers like Kaiji or cocky gambling addicts like legendary gambler Tetsuya. I am not opposed to that kind of character variety within this genre. But if the goal of Kakegurui is for us to come to understand Yumeko's psychology, and a major part of that psychology is that she loves the fun of gambling, isn't it like a huge problem if the gambling isn't engaging because it's poorly executed? With Kaiji, you feel every ounce of tension and despair that the hero feels. With Kakegurui, you just don't. This might not break the enjoyable aspects of the story, I still had a good time both watching and reading it, but it does create a profound disconnect between audience and protagonist, and between the show's tone and its themes. No matter how long this story goes on, I'm never going to be able to relate to Yumeko or find enjoyment in the same parts of her adventures as she does. I might have fun watching cocky, borderline psychotic douche canoes get their comeuppance, but that also pushes me further away from Yumeko's perspective, because she just wants to enjoy the games. Aside from Midari, who ruins that fun, she bears none of her opponents any ill will. Kakegurui has plenty of interesting characters, and watching them bounce off each other is a lot of fun, but it consistently fails to make the experience of the audience line up with the experience of those characters. That is a big flaw. It's one that I can look past to enjoy the show, but I can't just ignore it. I'm a kinda sorta critic, and digging into this stuff is my kinda sorta job. Although it is also my kinda sorta job to fully explain myself in these videos, and while I think the points I've just made were implied by what I said in the last video, the number of comments I received to this effect tell me that I made a mistake in not taking the time to explain it outright. That leads us to the third kind of comment, one loosely related to the second. A lot of people seem to think that I just want Kakegurui to be something it's not, which is kind of a fair point to make. Kakegurui isn't a good gambling anime, and I want it to be a good gambling anime because I love the subgenre, and right now it is woefully underrepresented. But here's where I think that falls apart. Kakegurui is a gambling anime. It's ludicrous, and if I'm being honest here, kinda stupid to say that it isn't. Gambling isn't just a thematic or aesthetic trapping built around a different genre, like how New Game is just an okay moe blob show with a gaming skin. It makes up about half of the total content of the series. The entire plot of Kakegurui is structured around shuffling characters from game to game as effectively as possible. When we see characters taking a break from gambling or plotting in secret, those scenes do flesh out those personalities, but they almost always set up a future game as well. It seems like the mangaka wanted, first and foremost, to create a story where he could simply come up with lots of creative games. Character motivations and plot points, meanwhile, are made up as he goes along, something that's especially clear at the start of the elections arc of the manga, which reveals a connection between Yumeko and the president that's never even hinted at before that point. But here we're venturing into the realm of speculation. The point here is that gambling is a major focus of Kakegurui's story, and making it more engaging would only help to make the show itself better overall. It certainly wouldn't take away from the central appeal of the show, the twisted, vibrant personalities, and I think I've made a good case here that it would in fact enhance that appeal. And that's basically everything I have to say about Kakegurui in response to your comments. Let me know what you think of this video, and if you'd like to see more comment responses like it down below. And while you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And I'd appreciate it even more if you went to my Patreon page to show me your support, like these beautiful specimens of humanity right here. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who support me month to month and make it possible for me to do what I do. If you want to see some more of me today, then Google has a recommended video for you that's tailored perfectly to your tastes right here. Or you can click down here for something that I personally recommend. Or you can click my chest to see my podcast, the Weekly Weebcast, although that is a little bit lewd. I'm Geoff Thew, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.